Victor Rudd has brought out the hammer. South Florida, what an effort. From the NCAA tournament begins tomorrow, the Infinity NCAA tip-off show on True TV at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then all the games across CBS, True TV, TBS, TNT. You pick the game you want to watch, or you can bounce back and forth between all of the action that we've got for you tomorrow. The 2012 NCAA tournament, March Madness underway.
Grab your remote control, right? Or do you still get up and change the channel?
I do have modern technology in my home, Jimmy. Thanks for asking. Alan Crabb finally gets into the scoring column. 3 players with 10-plus points tonight. They don't have any players averaging 10 points per game this season. We will keep an eye on Anderson, who has checked back in. He went out with what looked to be a pretty nasty knee injury. Jump shot way off by Fitzpatrick. 49-25. The drive by Cobbs. The runner, no.
Still contesting every shot in the lane.
You wonder, I'm not sure if the committee thinks in these terms, but is it a sense of validation that they feel like they got things right? South Florida questioned a bit whether or not they belong. And then people from the West Coast then question why only 2 Pac-12 teams, with no Washington, no Arizona, no Oregon. South Florida has put together a really impressive effort here tonight against Cal. Fitzpatrick jump shot, buries it, a 3.
I think to your point, I think it points more in the direction of what most people across, most of the consensus that I've read and heard, thinking about the levels of strengths of conferences. And Big East, Big Ten obviously was up there at the top of the pack, I think, this year. And Big East was obviously, with the depth they have there, a pretty good conference also. So I think it's, and the Pac-12 was not highly rated.
No.
So one game doesn't tell exactly and pull the truth right to the table there, but it's pretty accurate tonight.
52-25. Crabb still struggling with that jump shot.
Well, this is a style that Cal has not seen, and it's difficult.
The drive counted in a foul for Poland. Jawanza Poland, who made some mistakes down the stretch against Notre Dame. Poland, talented swingman, the junior, and just another weapon in this South Florida arsenal for Stan Heath.
Well, that's the other thing that Stan Heath does. That's, probably one of the reasons why, no double-figure scorers on this team, because they distribute the minutes so very well also.
Well, that's the case where you can look at things in 2 different ways. Some looked at it as, well, they just don't have a lot of scorers. They don't have anybody averaging double figures. Right. Others will say, well, they distribute it. They have a balanced offense, and at any point in any game, different guys can take over, and obviously that's what we've seen here in the opening round of the NCAA tournament against Cal. It is a 30-point cushion for the South Florida Bulls, and it's going the other way. So it will be Harper Camp called on the foul. Gutierrez has been held to 3 points. He's 1 of 5. Crabb, an all Pac-12 performer, has been held to 4 points on 1 of 10 from the field.
And once again, defense travels, right? Offense, you can lose it from time to time, but defense does travel in most sports.
Well, what did Lewis Johnson talk about? The building blocks of Stan Heath's program coming from Tom Izzo and his time spent under Izzo at Michigan State. He used those at Kent State, the Elite 8 run in 2002, then moved on to Arkansas, spent 5 years with the Razorbacks, went to 2 NCAA tournaments as the head man there, and then the breakthrough this season at South Florida in his 5th year.
Yep.
Now, this is a team that was consistently an afterthought in the Big East. They didn't come up in conversation. They couldn't compete. And here they are, putting together a terrific effort in the opening round of the NCAA tournament a tournament where they had never won a game in school history.
Yeah, but with all that said, they did still finish 4th in that conference, which isn't too shabby.
He looks pretty good. Anderson on the spin inside, able to use that drop step and then twirled his way to the rim.
Yeah, the running looked fine up and down the floor, but it was the twisting type of motions that looked pretty good also.
Gutierrez, frustrating night for him. He fires and connects. It's a 3. Jorge Gutierrez has been the heart and soul of this Cal team. Has always played with a chip on his shoulder. A leader, a fan favorite in Berkeley.
It's just so hard to get back in a game with these guys, the way they control the offensive flow, especially if they're not turning the basketball over. And they only have 4.
Shot clock is down to 10. Gilchrist makes his move. Anderson now with 7 to shoot. Anderson. And they'll get him on the foul, trying to take the baseline.
Control foul on Ron.
That is number 4 on Ron Anderson Jr., South Florida, maintaining the big lead on Cal. Game summary here in Dayton. The South Florida Bulls have put on an exhibition against Cal, 57-28. Bulls shooting it at 66%, limiting the Golden Bears to 25% from the field. Rudd with 13 points, and Camp, the high man for Cal, with 13. The worst NCAA tournament losses for California. 20 points twice. They lost by 20 in the 1960 title game against Ohio State. Not a bad squad for the Buckeyes. John Havlicek and Jerry Lucas. And lost by 20 in the round of 32 to UConn back in 1990. There's Gutierrez on the outside. Crabb gets an open look. Took it. A 3.
3-point basket.
I think Bobby Knight was on that team too, wasn't he?
There you go. Bob Knight's son, Pat Knight.
Yep.
His Lamar team lost to Vermont earlier tonight here in Dayton. And this is the final game of the first 4 with Western Kentucky, BYU, and Vermont advancing to the second round. Gilchrist, the back end, the leader. Big finish! Jawanza Poland just jumped out of the gym.
How did he ever come down? Wow, what an emphatic move.
You think the South Florida team has turned some heads tonight?
My goodness. Welcome to the madness with that.
59-31, South Florida. And a foul called. Offensive foul will work against the Bulls.
Here we go.
It's funny, he and Rudd were both looking
about it. He's got the bounce to the, oh. Oof. I mean, this just, I mean, I know we have a little to go here, but Cal, I've been in the downside of these types of games, and you just want that clock. You almost want it to be running, or the scorekeeper to just like push a magic button to get it down to like 3:41, skip a few minutes. It's just that type of game for South Florida.
The foul was called, and now the officials are checking to see whether or not the elbow was used. As we take another look, it was Rudd tracking it from the weak side, and then Poland right down the middle for the thunderous finish. And a salute.
That will take the air out of any type of focus you have from a California standpoint. Oof. That was a couple of jams have been pretty impressive. That one and Rudd's earlier.
So the 6:41 mark of this second half. Take a look here. He swung the arms up. What do you think here, Jimmy?
Well, clearly there was that contact as he came by.
Is it accidental? Is it inadvertent on the swing? This is what the officials are dealing with right now.
Yeah, it's a swinging motion, so my guess it's going to be with the with the elbow rules that they have, it could very well be a flagrant one.
And that's what the call will be, a flagrant one.
Yeah,
That last foul was a flagrant one foul.
Yeah, the way to think of that, last year it used to be called the inadvertent foul, and I think that's the right call. There was no intention to throw that elbow excessively to do any damage, right? But he's clearing himself. Clearly there's contact. It's an inadvertent type of play, and that's what translates to a flagrant one this year. So watch, he's getting into his bat. Is this an intent to hurt somebody or to start any action? No, that's an intent to get into a basketball play and cross. This just happens to be the rule, and it happens to be a very good call from the officials.
Emerson Murray at the free throw line, 67% shooter. Doug Shows explaining the call to Victor Rudd. And South Florida in complete control here, so there's no reason to take this and exacerbate the problem. Here's the flagrant one rule, excessive, unnecessary foul, 2 shots in possession. The flagrant 2 is extremely excessive and an automatic ejection.
Yeah, so the example would be there. They're standing out the same place on the floor and there's no move, but he just says, you know what, I want to just rack him up with an elbow. Then they're going to call the flagrant 2 on him.
Gutierrez cleaning up the miss by Crab. And now Gutierrez with 8. But California has been completely stymied by the South Florida defense. 59-34.
Said a different way, that wasn't the only hit to the chin that they've taken tonight.
South Florida taking their time here. Noriega had it blocked on the perimeter. There's Gutierrez on a bounce. And a good cut by Murray on the fast break.
Now, the thing you'd expect from a Mike Montgomery team is, even though you're getting blown out right now, let's see how they finish the game. And my guess is they're going to be aggressive, playing it down the stretch, even knowing that the next 5.5 minutes are not going to go their way in terms of the final score.
Mike Montgomery, California guy through and through. So many years at Stanford, a couple of years in the NBA with the Golden State Warriors, and then hooking on with Cal.
So they're under 10 seconds again with the shot clock right now.
Now it's down to 5. Baseline jumper rimming out from Noriega. Here's Gutierrez. Off the screen, the drive. Running one-hander doesn't go. Rebound is cleared by Fitzpatrick. Stan Heath telling his team, slow it down. Run the offense. Under 5 minutes to play now.
Now here's a point, right, with South Florida. If Stan Heath, and this is his style, and I believe in it, and coaches have their style, but you can't tell me that in this game they couldn't go up and down and really score more points. Like, this is their style. That's what they're successful with.
Absolutely could have scored 85, 87, 90 points.
But you know what? He knows, playing the odds and the probability going forward, he wants to control his tempo. He wants to control his team and play within their means, and they do it very, very well.
They're at 59. That's their season average. 59.2 points per game. 12-6 in the Big East this year using that style and approach.
And you'll hear every coach when they come into the NCAA tournament say, we can tweak it a little bit against the opposition. Nice little tip in again there by Rudd. But we're not going to change things. We are who we are. This is how we got here, and this is how we're going to advance if we do. And you make some tweaks, and really it comes down to the tweaks or assignments on personnel on the other side.
Can't with the flip. And I'm sure Fran Dunphy and the Temple coaching staff is starting to prepare.
Oh, I think they have been for a little while.
61-38. There's going to be a lot on that scouting report. We welcome you back to the First Four presented by Northwestern Mutual. And coming up next on True TV, it's Inside March Madness presented by Buick. Matt Weiner, Seth Davis, Steve Smith, Villanova head coach Jay Wright joining the guys in the studio to break down tonight's doubleheader and look ahead to the 16-game 4-network Thursday, the second round of the NCAA tournament. Blake Nash handling the point guard duties now for South Florida, along with Fitzpatrick, Robertson, Anderson, and Noriega.
I think if you stand Heath, you give these guys another minute, maybe a minute and change, and then you get everybody off the floor.
Just heard a chant from some of the South Florida fans. We want tempo. You're going to get them. Camp on the follow. Jimmy, you and I will be in Nashville for South Florida's next game in the NCAA tournament, taking on the regular season champions in the Atlantic 10, the Temple Owls.
Yeah, guard-oriented team. It'll be a nice matchup. Both of these teams like to control tempo. Fran Dunphy, obviously a terrific coach. And I say that not because he's listening and scouting right now, but I know he's watching to try to get a little edge.
Noriega had it denied on the inside. Crab will fire the three and knocks it down.
Three-point basket, Alan Crab.
Timeout called by Mike Montgomery with California down by 18. 2:21 to play, second half. Golden Bears on a 12-2 run. True TV's Good Old Boys are in for one heck of a ride. It's the season finale of Lizard Lick Towing. That's Monday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time on True TV. South Florida 61, California 43. Third NCAA tournament appearance for South Florida, and looking for their first win. You mentioned it, Jimmy, preseason predictions, 14th in the Big East coaches poll before the season started. That's where South Florida was selected. They finished at 12-6 in the conference. Rudd, the jump shot, three ball doesn't go. And it's rebounded by Murray for Cal. No look feed up the floor. Camp unable to corral it. And Camp trying to wrestle the ball away from Rudd.
See, there was a play where the elbows were down, Ian, when he ripped the ball away. Now, who's down on the other side of the floor?
And went down awkwardly in the process, Anthony Collins. Get a timeout as South Florida is a minute 40 away from advancing. It's been physical.
Hi again, everybody. Matt Weiner back in our Atlanta studio. Reminder, the fourth flight of games, if you will, tomorrow night includes the defending national champs, UConn against Iowa State. And this time last year, Tom Crean was here in our studio. Tomorrow, he'll face New Mexico State in the round of 64.
And hard not to be happy for Tom Crean, Matt, and the job that he's done at Indiana. There were some lean years there, taking over a program that had been hit hard by sanctions. Harper Camp finishing inside.
Pretty exciting win against Kentucky early, wasn't it?
Yep. And at Kentucky, their first loss. Up top again, Hugh Robertson on the rack attack.
Everybody getting involved.
63-45. Camp. High arcing delivery and air ball. And we're down to a minute 8 left.
The unselfish play once again by South Florida. Been very, very impressive. And it's kind of the way the Temple team plays. So it'll be an interesting style that we've touched on just a little bit when they advance to Nashville to play Temple.
.56% shooting for South Florida. And a substitution here by Stan Heath, who's going to get his point guard. Anthony Collins out of the game and send in Blake Nash for the final 48.5. Collins playing well beyond his years.
Checking in for California, Jeff Powers for Alan Crab.
And for Cal, I'm not sure they knew what hit them. Sophomore Jeff Powers in, Mike Montgomery calling over Alan Crab. 40 seconds left. Intercepted. Gutierrez steps in front. And the finish by Powers.
Basket by Jeff Powers.
Foul called. Camp from behind, fouling Nash.
California
So Blake
fouls
Nash
on
going to the free throw line. 82% shooter.
Checking in for South Florida, Sean Noriega.
Excuse me, that's the 6th team foul against Cal, so no free throws.
For Ron Anderson Jr.
So just about wrapping things up here in Dayton. And a look at the Midwest region. North Carolina, Vermont, Catamounts advance, Creighton, Alabama, Friday, Temple, South Florida in Nashville on TNT, and Michigan and Ohio.
Yep. Nice matchup there. Creighton, Doug McDermott, and Alabama, an aggressive team that had some ups and downs. They were stealing the finish off right there.
Emerson Murray getting the bucket. Final 24.9 on the clock.
That should be foul ball.
Well, this is really just window dressing at this point. California can make a 25-point game look like a 12-point game if they can get a bucket here. This one was never in doubt.
See if they pull back. And
Rudd the high man with 15 points. Collins scores 12. Gilchrist with 11.
Fouls on number 22, Harper Camp, his 5th.
And this is just prolonging the agony right now if you're Cal. Harper Camp is done in his final collegiate game. He is fouled out. Camp finishes with 19 points, 7 rebounds, and a high effort.
Jawanza Poland shooting the 1-1.
1-1 now for Jawanza Poland. 73% shooter. Well, if you're Stan Heath, maybe this surprised some people. They're not going to surprise anybody in the next round after this performance.
Yeah, the other side of it, though, is if you ask Stan and anybody on his team, are they surprised? They're going to say, we are not surprised. We are a good team. We're a pretty good offensive team also.
Gutierrez, the bank, and the foul. And this will be the end of a terrific career at Cal for Jorge Gutierrez.
Yep, meant so much to their program. Both ends of the floor.
Jorge Gutierrez at the line for
the heart and soul of Cal basketball.
Left Mexico at the age of 16, ended up in Denver, eventually at Findlay Prep in Nevada. Had a dream of playing big-time college basketball, and Gutierrez, impact player for 4 years.
There he goes.
Under Mike Montgomery.
Yep, good substitution right here by Mike Montgomery.
Jorge Gutierrez, the Pac-12 Player of the Year. Another foul, 13.8 left.
California fouls on number 21, Jeff Powers, his first, team's 8th.
So more free throws now for Jawanza Poland, chance to pad his numbers.
Shooting the 1-1 for South Florida.
For Stan Heath, it will be a trip to Nashville, Tennessee in the second round of the NCAA tournament. And a matchup with Temple out of the Atlantic 10. Poland, lane violation. He knew he was a little bit off, and ironically, the ball went in.
Didn't it?
It did. He thought he missed it long.
I think he was trying to dunk it off a missed free throw just then.
He was thinking pogo stick.
I think he was. I think you saved that for Temple.
Final seconds here in Dayton. first ever win in the NCAA tournament for South Florida. And they were flat out dominant against California. 65-54. The Bulls out of the Big East. They are headed to Nashville for the second round of the NCAA tournament. We'll have more when we come back to Dayton. Coming up on True TV, it's Inside March Madness presented by Buick. Matt Weiner, Seth Davis, Steve Smith, and Villanova head coach Jay Wright break down tonight's doubleheader and look ahead to the 16-game 4 Network Thursday that we have for you tomorrow. The NCAA tournament. 65-54, a blowout win. Maybe the score doesn't indicate it, but South Florida dominated over Cal as we check in with Lewis Johnson.
Okay, Ian, thanks so much. Well, Stan, you have won your first ever NCAA tournament game. So just a comment on the history you've made here for South Florida tonight.
Well, it's a big thing for our program here and our fans and, so many people. And we're excited about how we played for 35 minutes or so. And at the same time, we know we need to continue to play better.
Now let's look ahead to Friday. You're going to face Temple. They are also a 3-guard tempo control type of an offense. How is that going to work out?
Well, we've got to do what we do. We defend, and we've got to continue to do that. And hopefully we continue to execute and play better on the offensive end, which we did today.
All right, Victor, your team was picked by the coaches poll 14 out of 16, but you finished 4th in the Big East. You're on to the second round. What is it that we didn't know about you?
I guess y'all didn't know we can score. When everybody scored together like we did today, it makes it easy for us.
And how exciting is this for you as a young player to be moving on to the second round?
It's great. It's my first time in the tournament. Hopefully we get a lot more, and I'm excited.
All right, guys. See you in Nashville.
Okay, thanks so much.
All right, congratulations. Ian?
All right, Lewis, thanks very much. Thanks to Stan Heath and to Victor Rudd. Another highlight to add on to the reel for Rudd. Great couple of days here in Dayton. The president watching that historic comeback. You thought that was it, right? Western Kentucky? No. BYU comes from behind against Iona to move on to the second round. And then tonight, it was Vermont, second ever win in NCAA tournament history for them. That's going to do it for us. For Jim Skanarka, Lewis Johnson, I'm Ian Eagle. Stay tuned. Inside March Madness coming up.